Welcome on into BKL Nightly. I'm Thad Brown along with Caleb Carr, Rachel Liebert. We are at a full capacity tonight for this day after a Bengals win TV program. Hope you enjoy what you see tonight. We'll talk about Josh Allen. He's awesome. Christian Benford, equally awesome, maybe slightly less awesome. And then we'll get into some questions about the Bills going forward. Guys, let's start with Josh Allen, who, like I said, was amazing yet again. 4 total touchdowns, nearly 330 total yards of offense, multiple times where he danced around for about 45 seconds and converted a 4th down, because that probably is the best offensive play the Bills have right now. It's just Josh, do whatever. But it worked out just fine. And the topic of conversation today, when Sean McDermott and the coordinators met the media, not primarily, but certainly one of them, was, does Josh Allen raise his game when he plays these elite quarterbacks? Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. The Bills this year are the first team ever to beat all 3 of those guys in the same season. Let me show you what Sean McDermott and Joe Brady had to say about it first, because I thought their answers were interesting in the fact that they weren't exactly in lockstep, and then we'll talk about it after.
Early on in his career, we used to talk about, hey, let's just play the defensive coordinator. Let's play the defense you're playing, not the opposing quarterback. And he's just matured so much and developed so much. He knows what he needs to do to get himself just right for those games.
I think Josh has played well, regardless of who he's going against. But if it just so happens that it kind of plays, some of his best games goes against them, maybe that's just a coincidence. I don't think he prepares any differently, knowing that, hey, I'm going against Burrow this week. Or at least if he does, he doesn't say anything differently.
All those the quarterbacks that you mentioned, they all feel the same way about each other. They have a tremendous amount of respect for each other, but they want to beat each other. So it's great to be able to watch those games unfold when you've got elite quarterbacks going against each other.
I think we can all agree on the last part there that it is awesome to watch Josh Allen play these guys. And one of the best parts of covering the Bills is that when someone else great comes in, you always get that awesome game. But in terms of the rest of it, Caleb, does Josh Allen play better in these games? Is he a different guy? The results say it's somewhat noticeably different. He's been, I'll put the stats up in a minute here, I think it's 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But in your opinion, is Allen a different quarterback when the big guys come to town?
I don't know if I'd say different. I think he plays at that same level in other games as well. I think there's definitely a little bit of extra juice when you're going up against a guy like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. And I think the other thing is maybe those are really, really good quarterbacks that the defense sometimes has a hard time stopping. And that's going to lead to Josh Allen needing to play better. When you got, look at week 2. Justin Fields and the Jets, Josh Allen didn't need to do anything because the defense dominated that game. But the defense isn't going to dominate games against these big star quarterbacks, and that means Allen has to step up and he has to do it. So I don't know if I'd say different, but I think there's definitely a little bit of extra juice when he plays those guys.
I do agree that, going against when your defense needs more help, obviously Josh Allen has to do more. But I do think we've kind of talked about, or at least I've said, I feel like the Bills tend to play down to their opponents sometimes. And I also feel like Josh Allen might be playing up as well when it is these big situations and you are playing against quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and, like Patrick Mahomes, like Caleb said. I don't know if I would say, oh, he's definitely better and we're going to see the best Josh Allen we've seen all season when it comes to these big games. But I do think, you took the words out of my mouth. It's the extra juice that maybe it just seems like Josh Allen has a little bit more of that extra, want to win because he has to keep up with the other side going back and forth. So kind of everything Caleb said, I do agree. But I do think we do see a more exciting version of Josh Allen when he's up against these bigger guys.
I love the point you guys are making about the need for Josh Allen to do more just because there's more coming on the other side. It's hard for Josh Allen to have ridiculous games when it's 27-13. You can just give the ball to James Cook 55 times and take it to the clubhouse. I do think that I don't think Allen gets up for different games. Maybe a little bit, but I think what Joe Brady said about the fact that he prepares the same way is generally who he is. That said, I do think preparing the same way is its own skill. Because in the big moments, to me, it's not about someone elevating. It's about someone getting nervous and not being able to stay at the same level. So if Josh Allen can just be Josh Allen, then he's going to look a little bit better against those bigger guys because, like you guys said, he has to. And because, like I'm saying, and I think Joe Brady is saying, that he's been always consistent all the time. I never buy into, and I think Joe Brady talked about it too, about playing against the other quarterback. You're always just playing against the defense. So to me, it doesn't matter. And in this particular game against the Bengals, did Josh Allen elevate his game, or did he just get to play the Bengals? Because anybody who plays the Bengals this year has been awesome for the most part. So I don't think he's a different guy. I think he's been good because he's been the same. But it certainly didn't help that, or didn't hurt that he had to put up 35 points to win that game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that Bengals defense, I think we talked about it a little bit last night in our post-game show. It's not a great defense, but just being able to still go out there and make the plays that needed. There were still some insane plays that he needed to make. The defense still forced him to make some of those plays. I mean, that 3rd and 15, that's just Josh Allen being I don't think that has anything to do with a bad Bengals defense. That's just Allen being Allen.
It had some things to do with the bad Bengals defense too, but I know what you're saying.
I think it's mainly, I agree that for most of the game, that's definitely a benefit, but I think there are still plays that it's still an NFL level defense.
Maybe. Kind of,
I
sort of.
think it is. I think it is.
It's in the NFL. There's no doubt
There
about
it
that. So this is not to take away from what Josh Allen did.
Not at all.
He was fantastic. And we've had the discussion, Rachel, a couple times this year about the Bills needing Josh to put the Superman cape on. And I think there's been a lot more games than the Bills would prefer that he has the cape on for. Is this game an example of him playing at a higher level, or is this game just an example of they asked him to do 1,000 things and he didn't turn it over this time? He didn't have the mistakes. He didn't have the problems that we saw in the Houston game, in the Miami game, going back to even the Atlanta game for that matter.
I mean, I do think it is a higher level compared to what we've seen this season, but I think
I don't know about higher. I think the point I'm making is it just cleaner? Is it just Josh Allen being Superman without throwing in the dumb stuff too?
I mean, I think it is because I think not that the bar is low for Josh Allen, obviously, but I think we have seen Josh Allen this year be maybe sloppier than he has, especially last year. So I do think it is a cleaner version of Josh Allen that we're used to seeing. Not that it's this like better, superhero Josh Allen, but I do think that's just the Josh Allen that won an MVP last year, and that's I think last night's game or yesterday afternoon's game was definitely the Josh Allen that won the MVP.
That's always a problem when we have Josh Allen conversations, is that we're comparing Josh Allen to Josh Allen, which is just impossible to do and unfair, frankly, to Josh Allen as well. All right, let's move on to Christian Benford, who was the other hero from the game yesterday. And the funny thing about the interception that he got against Joe Burrow that went back for a touchdown is that he said afterward that he was doing the wrong technique, that he wasn't supposed to jump, that what he's supposed to do there is to stay on his feet. So, of course, when Bobby Babich talked to the media today, the question to him was, well, what do you think? Did he get in trouble for doing bad technique? And Babich pretty much laid out exactly why what Benford did, the whole scoring a touchdown thing, worked out just fine for the Bills. Martin.
Production overrides technique. Production overrides technique. No, I mean, he just reacted. He just reacted to what was happening in front of him. And, the last 2 weeks he's visited the end zone twice, so we're in favor of that.
Got a contract this offseason, and that has not changed him. And so, and then he hears, we're all human. He hears some of the questions that were going on early, and he just continues to put in the work and keep his head down and improve. And, we're just excited to have him and real grateful for him.
The thing Sean McDermott said there about Christian Benford hearing the noise and the things that were said about him early in the year is where I want to go with this. Because we knew Christian Benford, or at least we thought Christian Benford would be a high-level corner one this year. He didn't play like it until midseason. Not that he was bad, but it's been better lately. Rachel, are you surprised that the level of play for Benford this year has been as different as it's been? And it's not wildly different. He's not looking like a rookie for 5 games and then for an all-pro, but it certainly is an improvement over the first 6-7 games of the season.
I'm not surprised. I think you mean like in compared to past seasons, or
no, compared to earlier this year. Just the fact that it took so long, maybe a better way to say it, so long to get Benford at this level.
I am surprised. I mean, we've heard all offseason that this was, he was going to have a great year. And like you said, not that he hasn't started off the year well, but it did take maybe the last 3-4 weeks for us to really start hearing his name and him, causing turnovers and obviously what he did yesterday. I am surprised, but at the same time, this Bills defense has struggled kind of in its own ways throughout the year. So for him to finally, kind of figure things out, it's been a while. I mean, it's been not too long, but I do think, it's been maybe too long because the Bills have struggled these last few weeks. But I'm not surprised as far as the production that he's having. This is what we kind of expected.
Caleb?
Yeah, Rachel kind of took exactly what I was going to say. At the beginning of the season, the defense definitely had its moments of real struggle. And I think when you have a bad, not that the Bills were bad, but when you have a struggling defense or a bad defense, even if you put a star defensive player on there, they're going to make plays, but they're not going to look as good or play as well statistically as they normally would. But I think this defense has really come into its own. It's really grown together, and in that, Benford has grown with it. I think part of it is also just opportunities. Benford didn't really have a ton of opportunities, whether it was the rest of the team giving him those opportunities to make the play or him giving himself the opportunities to make a play, but he didn't have many opportunities early in the year, and we've definitely seen an ample amount of opportunities thrown at him these past few weeks.
To me, I think it was just regression to the mean. This was a good player. We knew this was a good player. We knew this was a guy who would play like a good player. And the fact he didn't isn't an indication that we were wrong and just had 3 or 4 not so great games, which is kind of where you guys are landing on this. And that at some point, Christian Benford was going to make star level plays. The fact it took until week 13, 14, and it turned into touchdowns and not just here's a receiver who only went 2 for 45 today or whatever it is, maybe a little bit of a surprise. But I think we also forget, and we've talked about this a few times, professionals don't just stay here. They go up, they go down, they have bad years, they have good years, they have bad months, they have good months. And I think that's what we're seeing from Christian Benford, to where, yeah, it wasn't great early, and maybe to the point you guys are talking about where it took a little while for him and the defense to kind of coalesce. I certainly think that Cole Bishop having his struggles next to him, Max Hairston over there coming up in midseason, all the changes probably had a bit of an impact, even if corners to a degree can kind of live on an island. But all that together, I think, allowed Benford to be a better player these last few weeks. One of the guys who's been a good player all year long is James Cook, but lately it has not been very good. Cook had 2 more fumbles in the game yesterday against the Bengals. He now has 4 fumbles in his last 2 games. He has 5 fumbles in his last 4, 6 on the season. 6 fumbles is the most by 2 over any non-quarterback in the NFL right now. So no other running back has even 5 fumbles so far this year, running back or receiver. And even if you do it by a per touch basis, the only running back with at least 100 touches this year who fumbles more often is Ramondre Stevenson of the Patriots, which means balls are going to be on the ground all over the place this Sunday. But, guys, the question here with James Cook is, clearly this is a player who's having an awesome year, who, frankly, has a good chance to win the rushing title on his own. But as Joe Brady said today, the fumbles have got to stop. So from the Bills' point of view, assuming that he's not done fumbling this year, that there will be more, is there a point, and Rachel, I'll start with you, where the Bills have to back off giving James Cook so many touches because they frankly can't trust him not to put it on the ground as much as he is?
I don't think so. I don't think the Bills can afford to not give James Cook as many touches. I mean, I just think the fumbles, one of them yesterday was the reaching across the goal line. That is obviously
it's a fumble.
To his own fault.
Joe Brady called that one out today more than the one that actually was a fumble in this game.
I think it just comes with James Cook is so much of this offense, and I think defenses are really just applying the pressure to James Cook, and whether or not that they're going for the ball more, trying to punch the ball out more, I don't know. But I don't think you can really take the ball out of James Cook's hands to solve the issue. I don't know if there is a solution. Unless they just go to drills and start, hitting them with those, what do they call those things? Like
the little fake gloves.
They start like he's running. Yeah, maybe that's the only solution. I don't know, because I don't think they can afford to take James Cook out of the equation just because he's, lost the ball a few times. It's not a good look. It needs to be solved, but I don't think they're going to kind of punish him game day for that.
There are a variety of handy tools to help players not to fumble.
I can't think of the word.
Not that I will say none of the players take any of them seriously.
No, they don't, but maybe James Cook should. That's
maybe, yeah. They take the drills somewhat seriously, but I think most players kind of roll their eyes at that stuff. Yeah. But Caleb, where you land on Cooks and fumbles and all that?
I agree with Rachel that I don't think the Bills offense can, afford to sit him or to not give him the ball. And honestly, I just don't think it's worth it not doing it, because what he's giving the offense is so much positive that even a couple fumbles, and I know it's more than just a couple, but even a few fumbles here or there, I'm not too concerned about it because of how much production he is actually having on offense. Now, where it gets blurry is when you have a fumble at the goal line, trailing. What were they?
Down 3.
Down 3 at that point. So you fumble the ball at the goal line with a chance to take the first lead in the second half. That's not good at all. That could have been a huge game-changing play. And I mean, it led to a Bengals touchdown and a 10-point lead. And you're just lucky that Josh Allen is Josh Allen and that the Christian Benford made some plays. I mean, I don't want to call the Christian Benford play lucky or Josh Allen doing what he did lucky.
For maybe James Cook point
of view. But James Cook got lucky. James Cook got extremely lucky, because if Buffalo doesn't win that game, it's all on him for fumbling at the goal line. Now, I don't think all of his fumbles from here on out will be these game-changing fumbles, and they haven't been this season. But that is kind of the risk of continuing to put the ball in his hands, especially in these late game situations. But for like the rest of the game, just keep giving it to him. If he fumbles in the second quarter with the Bills up 7, I'm not too concerned about it.
Part of me wants to say this is 4 fumbles in 2 games, which is what it is, which you can look at and say this is a very small pocket of bad things happening. Mm-hmm. But I'm not as generous as you guys. He can't keep putting the ball on the ground. I don't care how good he's been. Because to your point, if it's not for Christian Benford making an amazing play, then that fumble cost them a game. Maybe not directly. Obviously, the pass defense getting lit up by Joe Burrow was a part of it too. But regardless, that was, to your point, going to be probably the deciding play in the game. How many more chances do you want to give him to kill you? You want him to do it in New England? Do you want to give him a chance to do it in a playoff game? At some point, this has got to end. Now, because it's only been 2 games of heavy fumble issues, I'm willing to see how the next 3 or 4 go and go from there. If he's clean in the playoffs, then I think this is not an issue going to the postseason. He puts it on the ground one more time between now and the end of the year, it's officially an issue.
But how do you solve the issue? And you're like, what do you think?
Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. I mean, look, I'm with you. They're not as good. James Cook is a decidedly better running back than both those guys. But Ty Johnson and Ray Davis have skills that have benefited you this year. And if those skills involve not fumbling, then they're about to get more carries.
If this was any other year, though, any other past Buffalo Bills year where the passing offense looks like we're used to seeing a Buffalo Bills pass offense look, then I would agree with you 110%. But the problem is that's not what this year. This year has been James Cook. You take James Cook out of the equation, I don't know what this season looks like. You don't sign James Cook in the preseason, and he decides that he's going to sit out the whole year or whatever happens, hypothetically. I don't know what this team looks like, because James Cook is his team. Now, obviously, Josh Allen has stepped up when he needs to, and he's made some plays. But I don't think this is a crazy statement that if it's not for James Cook, this team is not even considered a playoff team at this point.
I don't think that's unfair. I think that the running offense has been a huge part. I want to double check this because I'm thinking, as you brought that up, I'm thinking you're right. James Cook, what have they had, like 2 or 3 games where it's been 8,000 yards rushing and the Bills win. But the last one was just the Pittsburgh game, and they won 26-7. If they didn't have James Cook, they're probably still winning that game, right?
Yes. Is
there a game this year that either you guys got where, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Didn't James Cook outrush Josh Allen's passing yards that game, though?
Yes. Yeah, he did. But the point is not that happened, but that if you put Ray Davis in and they rush for only 195 instead of 249, they still win the game.
But does Ray Davis rush for 195?
Yeah, he had 60-something in that game, so I think he probably does, if you give him all those carries. If you give Ray Davis 32 carries in that game.
I don't think, I don't know.
I mean, look, big picture, welcome to the conversation about the AFC, because I don't care what contender, whatever, if we're doing Ravens kickoff live or Chiefs kickoff live or Colts kickoff, well, that's a bad example. Jaguars kickoff live, everybody's going to have this discussion about, here's this thing we like to do, but it's also really bad because of this reason. This is what the whole conference is like.
Yeah.
And this is part of the Buffalo Bills conversation. I'm going to see the Bills schedule just one quick second here to see if I can find a game.
I get what you're saying, that maybe James Cook hasn't been like making the game winning plays. But I don't think that the skill level that Ray Davis brings to the table is nearly enough to compensate for the skill level that James Cook brings. I think if you take James Cook out of the equation, that Pittsburgh game is a lot closer. And all it takes is a close game and it could flip. I think Buffalo was obviously the better team, but you take James Cook out and you put Ray Davis in, maybe he still does good, but maybe the Bills don't put up 26, maybe they only put up 19, and then maybe because of that, Pittsburgh is able to get another touchdown, and now all of a sudden you have a 5-point game. So I think it's a lot more than just the blowouts.
So, all right, I finally was able to get the computer to throw the stats up. Here we go. James Cook's top 3 games, just rushing yards this year, right?
Okay.
216 against Carolina. How many did the Bills win that game by?
A lot.
31. Yeah, thank you. Rachel's right. Number 2 is the Pittsburgh game, which we talked about already. Number 3 was the Jets game week 2. How many did they win that by? Rachel?
A lot to a little.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Number 4, really the next 3 are the same. It's the Saints game, another tight one. They lost the Houston game, so it didn't even matter. And then you got to get down to his 6th biggest game before James Cook has a big game and a 1-score win for the Bills. I don't feel like I'm not saying this is the open and shut. I'm right, but, and I didn't even know about it until I brought it up. It doesn't look like James Cook running the ball is winning many games for them so far this year. Not him individually, even as good as he's been.
I can't deny the statistics because they are what they are. But if I just to try to shovel my way out of this, based off the eye test, Ray Davis does not elevate this offense nearly as much as James Cook does.
You're right.
And you can look at the stats all you want, but those are all the stats with James Cook in there. I don't know what happens if you take him out. We have no clue. It's a hypothetical. There's no way to know.
Rachel, anything else you want to add or no? We had a lot of time on this topic. So
I think we covered all the bases. I agree with Caleb. I think that
2-1.
I do think that I know statistically you're saying James Cook has not been the deciding factor in these wins, but I feel like same thing with the eye test. He seems to be a common denominator as to when the Bills offense is clicking and when it isn't. So those are my final words.
All right, let's go to the official BKL Nightly Roundtable, even though we kind of semi-jumped into it with that conversation. First question tonight following this Bengals win. Like the run defense the last 2 weeks has been really good. 58, 62 yards allowed. It's their best 2 games all year. Big caveat time. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati ranked 29th and 30th in rushing yards per game this year. So, Caleb, I'll start with you on this one. Do you think the run defense has turned a corner at all with these 2 performances?
You answered it with the question. They've looked better, yes, but like you said, they've played against 2 of the worst offensive rushing teams in the league. And now, obviously, I think right now the Bengals are averaging 86.5 yards per game through 13 games, and the Steelers are 89.2. Now, that's throughout the whole season, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, but you got to look at the recent. Well, even last 5 games, Bengals are 92.2, and Steelers are 92.4, so not anything better. These are not good rushing teams. I don't want to take that away from the Bills because they definitely have looked better. Again, the eye test, they have looked better. But I need to see it against a much better rushing team.
Yeah, you guys stole all my stats. That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't think they've turned a corner. They've obviously played better, but they haven't played really that high level of competition to really determine if they've turned a corner. So simple answer, no, I do not think they have.
I think they're approaching the corner.
I agree.
But they're
rounding the corner.
They're getting there. They see the corner. They just haven't yet.
They've identified the corner.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about the Pittsburgh game, I haven't gone through all the film of the Bengals yet, and we'll do that tomorrow on BKL Nightly. Let's Talk Ball with Carl Jones. But against the Steelers, they did creep more corners and defensive backs up that helped them take away the run game. I'm guessing they didn't do that in this game because you do that and it's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, Ali Oxenfree right behind you. It's still a viable run-stopping strategy, and at least in the Pittsburgh game, the scheme was good enough to think, okay, you found some answers to this one game. To me, that says that maybe you can find answers for other ones too. Question number 2, Rachel, start with you. Joey Bosa didn't play against the Bengals. The pass D did not look very good except for pretty much 3 plays. The Christian Benford sack, the Christian Benford interception, the A.J. Epinesa interception. If the Bills don't get Joey Bosa back, or if they have a future game without him, which with Joey Bosa seems relatively likely, can this pass defense still function at a functionable level?
No. In games like yesterday, no. I don't think they're going to function in a shootout game. the Cincinnati pass offense is probably one of the best they're going to face all year, and T. Higgins showed that several times yesterday. But I don't think, where is Greg Rousseau? And that's like my biggest thing is, okay, AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau. Epinesa obviously had a big play there at the end, but those two in the rotation without Bosa, I don't feel like can be as effective as Bosa when it comes to these big shootout games, for sure. I mean, it was bad yesterday. They got it together when they needed to get it together a little bit, but I don't think they can survive and stop the pass without him.
It's really tough to judge how good this passing defense is without Bosa because they, like Rachel said, played one of the best passing offenses. Now, obviously, statistically, you can't say that because Burrow's only played a few games. But when you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, that's one of the best. I don't care what the stats say. That is one of the best passing offenses in the league. So it's kind of tough to tell. When they don't play the Bengals, I think maybe the defense can step up. I think there are enough guys on the team. I think Christian Benford's really come to himself, and he's really starting to play well. Cole Bishop is playing really well. We've seen some plays made from AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau here or there, Deion Walker. So I think maybe, but why would you want to? You don't want to. You need him in.
The question is if he's not available.
Yes, if he's not available, maybe. But like there's no part of me that is like, I'm okay if he's not. Like, I'm okay. It's just kind of tiptoeing a maybe.
I'll add another caveat to the Bengals game assessment in that the snow was so nasty that there were a lot of guys running patterns kind of tippy-toe because no one wanted to run or cut fast for fear of blowing a tire and just falling on their face. So that certainly takes away the eval of what the Bills look like against a great passing game. I want to say the Bills can survive, but it lessens the margin of error. So if you don't have Joey Bosa, you saw what it took in that game against Cincinnati. You had to blitz, and you had to get a little lucky with blitzes. Not that Benford's play was lucky, but you caught one there. You also caught one with the sack, too. So that is the world you got to live in, where if I can throw a couple blitzes and hit, I'll win. But if I lose, it's 70 yards the other way. So you got to do that. And then in addition, the offense has to put up how many points yesterday? 39. So yes, can you survive? Sure, but if all these other things go your way, that's the only way you're winning. Time for Confidence Up, Concern Up. We do this every single week on a Monday after the game. Confidence Up first. Caleb, you can go.
It was really hard to find something like unique here, so I'm just gonna
the easy ones.
I'm just gonna go with Christian Benford. He's my confidence up. Combination of the past few weeks, he's looked great. Kind of went from. Now I'm not saying that he will be or that he is. But went from kind of having like a down year to these past few games have been arguably all pro caliber. Now, again, because it's an all season thing, he probably won't be. But he at least right now looks like an all pro type cornerback.
He scores another couple touchdowns, he'll be an all pro. Rach?
Same here. It was kind of, I've had confidence in this guy, but Shaq Thompson is who it is for me. He's just a playmaker. I mean, you go out there, this is a linebacker room that's been injury rotation, this year. And he's just, I think it was 6 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He's just out there making plays. I mean, he's been in the league for 11 years, and he's playing like he's like 5 years in. I mean, he's not playing like a veteran that's whatever age he is. He's fun to watch, and I'm going to go with Shaq Thompson for mine.
I'm going with Dawson Knox. I know it was easy pickings against that terrible Bengals defense, but 6 for 93, his first big game in a few years. At least you saw he can do it. He can be a big play guy. He can be effective when the opportunity presents. So he's my confidence up. How about concern up? Rachel, you can go first there.
I'm going to go back to Greg Rousseau. Where is Greg Rousseau? I just don't know where he's been. I mean, I feel like we need more from Greg Rousseau. He's just been quiet. I mean, that's really all I have to say. Without Joey Bosa, I feel like he needs to step up a little bit, and he wasn't there. So that's my concern.
I think Rousseau's been better than most people will believe. I think there's been some pressures, but for sure, not what he wants, not what the Bills want, and not what the Bills want, and not what you expect from somebody who just got paid. Caleb?
I'm going to go with the combination of Trey White and Maxwell Hairston. I say the combination because they're still kind of splitting snaps. I think this was like 60% Trey and 40% Max, somewhere in that range. But they're still pretty much splitting snaps. So I'm going to kind of pretend that they're one player here. They both allowed a deep touchdown, so that's 2 deep balls to T. Higgins yesterday. They allowed a few other big plays in there. Now, they both had a couple plays. I know Maxwell Hairston had like 1 or 2 pass breakups. Trey White had a couple nice tackles. So they're still playing okay, but the good plays are okay, but the bad plays are bad. from them. And that's just not going to cut it on the opposite side of Christian Bedford.
60-40 was exactly right, by the way, too. My guy is Ryan Vandermark, 2 holding penalties. We've been impressed with how good the backup tackles have been when they've been asked to play. And look, he probably was still good overall, but the 2 penalties stand out kind of like a sore thumb. All right, that's going to do it for us in this edition of BKL Nightly. For Caleb and Rachel, I'm Thad. Thanks very much for watching. Again, tomorrow, it'll be me and Carl Jones with the Let's Talk Ball edition, as always. Thanks for watching tonight, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.